Okay, so I started this without actually having anything prepared because I genuinely, um, the first one that came up seems getting up with me tomorrow. I'm gonna stream again. It's gonna be the best stream I've ever done. Watch. I'm not joking. How to defeat worry. Let's do this. Seems interesting. And I got some creepypastas picked up.
Everybody is worried about something. We don't discriminate, regardless of what all those commenters on Who You Are message to all women say. And then, of course, there's much more serious worries, like how am I supposed to deal with the loss of my parent, or will this round
This ain't even got to be religious. Let's just do it.
finally be the last, or what am I going to do?
Who is watching this?
Employment runs out. And in my experience, it seems that all of our worries seem to be able to fit into one of three categories. There's decision worry, there's provision worry, and there's lack of vision worry.
I don't know if you know this, but it says your actual name on the screen. I feel like that's not what you really wanted. But tomorrow, if you ain't doing nothing, I'd like to stream again because I'm supposed to be up there, and we can play that game. Shoot, what's the name of that game? Starts with a D or not, maybe, possibly. I'm gonna. Yeah. I don't know what you're saying. What to? How? I don't know. Because you're watching this on YouTube, so just know that it's saying your actual name. Frick. Hold on. Give me a second. Mercenary Kings. That I could not think of that to save my life. I'll be up there. I ain't gonna be up there just tomorrow. I'll be up there for damn near the whole week, if not the whole week. So we got time, and I'm gonna be using that good ass internet. So I'm gonna be sucking up as much of that as I can. I'll probably stream like damn near an hour every day while I'm up there. Who am I? What do you mean? Who are you? I see your name, and if you ain't who I think you are, boy, howdy. No, I can't. My internet connection is not sufficient enough to play online and stream at the same time.
Rhyming points! And what I want to do today is I want to give us a few
That's why I said wait until I'm somewhere with
use to combat these types of worries in our lives. Because I believe that the Word of God is the sword of the Spirit for a reason, because it attacks the lies that the enemy tries to get us to buy into. So number one is decision worry. Make your paths straight. And decisions are a huge cause of worry in our lives, because oftentimes it feels like there's 6 million different paths we could take, and we can't really see where any of them lead, so how are we supposed to know which one to choose anyway? But God's promise in this verse makes it very clear that when we give our decisions up to God, and the worry that goes along with them, He will make the path straight. He will make the road clear. And this is really hard, isn't it? Because we want to be in the driver's seat. We want to be in control. We want to
like to stream it tonight. We can play it tonight. I ain't got nothing else going on.
But if we want to defeat worry, we have to replace our need for understanding with trust in God. We have to let God into the driver's seat. Number 2 is provision worry. In Matthew chapter 6, verses 25 through 26, Jesus says this: "Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothes? Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they?"
Damn.
And I think we worry about one of 2 reasons. Sometimes it's because we doubt God's power. But the Bible makes it really clear just how powerful God is. In Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 12, it says, "But God made the earth by his power. He founded the world by his wisdom and
Yeah, I know.
stretched out
I'm
the
working on
heavens
that.
by his understanding." And the Bible also makes it very clear how God cares for his creation. In that same chapter of Matthew, Jesus talks
This
about
was not
how
designed
God
for you to
cares
play by
the
yourself.
sparrows and the flowers. And God also
Oh, do it
cares for
again.
the mountains and the trees and the pigs and the lions and the tigers and the bears. Oh my! You see, Scripture makes it crystal clear that God is all-powerful and therefore he is fully capable of caring for his creation. So the second reason we might worry about provision, and I think this one is more likely, is because we doubt that we actually matter. It's not that we doubt that God is all-powerful, it's that we doubt that we could actually matter to a God who is all-powerful. But Jesus speaks directly to this when he asks the probing question when referring to us versus the sparrows. He says, "Are you not much more valuable than they?" And in this same story in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 12, Jesus says, "Even the hairs on your head are numbered." And just to get rid of any confusion out there in TV land today, or any doubt that is in your heart, God wants you to know that you matter to him more than you could ever imagine. And we defeat
Oh, I am not able to do this by
when we
myself.
remember how powerful God is and how much we matter to him. And number 3 is a lack of vision worry. Later on in Matthew chapter 6, Jesus says, "But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well." You see, in life, I think we worry about so many unimportant things only because we lack the vision to see the things that are truly important. And you see, God does not want us to worry. Not just because he wants us to trust him, and not just because he wants us to see how much he loves us, but because he has something better for us to do. God doesn't want you to worry about the clothes you're going to wear, because I think God's a lot more interested in the ministry you're going to do while wearing them. God doesn't want us to worry about the food we're going to eat, because he's more concerned with what we're going to do with the energy the food gives us. God doesn't want you to worry about where you're going, because he's a lot more invested in what you're going to do when you get there. And what God is saying in this verse, he's saying, instead of always seeking a solution for your worries, give me your worries, seek my kingdom, and I will take care of the solution. Because what worry does is it stifles our calling from God. Because when we worry, it's like we're carrying around all this baggage. And the problem with that is if we're carrying around all this baggage, then when God finally calls us to something, we're not going to have enough room to take that calling from him. And so instead, what God is saying, he's saying, give me your baggage so I can replace that with a mission. We defeat worry when we stop seeking solutions and start seeking the kingdom. And if worry is gripping you today, then God wants to replace it with trust. He wants to let you know how much you matter to him, and he wants to take away that worry so that he can free you to pursue his kingdom calling for your life. Thank you so much for watching another 7-minute sermon. You all rock. Make sure you check out the video over here or the video down here. Those are some of our previous 7-minute sermons. Also, click right below me to subscribe to the channel. And today, I want to ask you all a question. And when I ask this question, I want you to answer it in that little comment section. Don't just watch the videos, comment, because we want to hear from you. So my question today for you all is, what is your favorite Bible verse?
No!
Elf is back.
Okay, I am hurting on the inside. I got greedy. I tried to just go ahead and I can do that. I think I can do that. I am. Wait! I wasn't done. I wasn't ready. Alright, so that was a 7-minute sermon because I'm slowly becoming aware of how slightly creepy it is to do these like this. But here's the thing. Every Sunday, no matter what, I will have some form. I am not talking to you directly. I'm just talking to the non-existent audience. This is a form of therapy for me. Every single Sunday, that will be a thing. There will be some form of religious food for you to nourish your weird little minds on, my flock. And then we listen to creepypastas because, let's be real, it's still me at the end of the day.
So, like, I had no business poking around them. People talk about the glory days, and the internet anonymity was real, and you could do all kinds of illegal things, but those people are full of shit. See, anonymity, online or otherwise, is a fucking joke. I learned that the hard way, the summer that I graduated from high school. I was held back in the 3rd grade after a really serious illness kept me hospitalized for almost 6 months. So my friends graduated the year before me. My senior year sucked. I was alone, and it was too late to make new friends. So I skipped a lot of classes, spent a lot of my time online playing games and talking to my friends through AIM. That was actually a really dark period of my life that I try not to think about too much. And because I haven't really tried to repeat my deep web exploration,
they did not hesitate to murder me.
I do remember, though, that it was my friend Brian who got me into deep web stuff. You see, we were all obsessed with 4chan, B specifically. And
I appreciate y'all being like
Tor
helpful.
Safety. He'd been mentioning it for a while, and I got curious. I asked him about it, and he made it sound like a utopia for people like us who are tech savvy and
so I can take about like 4 hits.
You could find anything.
About 4 hits.
Any porn you could imagine was yours for the viewing. There was sites offering drugs which you could purchase and have delivered anywhere in the world. He'd been a part of a few raids too, and I'll admit, it all sounded like a lot of fun. So I downloaded Tor. He taught me how to access the hidden wiki and some other neat sites. It ended up taking over my life. It was like being a kid in a candy store. Suddenly I had access to unlimited movies, games, porn, information of all kinds. I stayed away from the really nasty sites like the Violent Desires and anything that had the slightest hint of, Of course, it's impossible to avoid that kind of thing down there.
Damn it.
I guess I saw a fair share. I'm being honest, it never bothered me much. They did all the very graphic gore. I'm not ill-adjusted or anything. I made it a point to report what I could and move on, but I guess it never really stuck with me. After the school year ended, I had 3 months to pass before going off to college, and I basically became a shut-in. Yeah, I spent almost all of my time hopping from site to site, seeing what was down there. And most of it was just back doors to existing sites, but it was still fun to fuck around with things and be a general asshole. I still talk to my friends, but they moved on to WoW, and Brian in particular spent less time on the deep web than I did. However, one evening he messaged me and told me that he'd found a way to view sites based on location. Well, I have no idea how he did this, and if he told me, I probably forgot. I assume it was some kind of script, but maybe that's not right. Either way, he showed me how to use it, and I started poking around sites that were registered in my state. Most weren't anywhere close to me, so I was just
damn
browsing
the
quickly,
fuckery.
Eventually, I came across a site that was registered to someone about 2 hours from me, and I opened the page. Whoever had created the site didn't know much about design. The layout was wonky, incredibly ugly. It took me a while to figure out how to navigate around. The links were the same color as the background, which was just a black screen with the words #1 devotee repeated over and over and over. And highlighting had been disabled.
Shit.
I had the tab to
I did
find
not
out
realize
the
there was
links.
another door here.
One took me to a chat that was very
That would
active,
make
with
things
people
a
posting every
lot
couple seconds.
easier.
The usernames were all
That's
generic.
annoying.
I read the chat for a while,
Yeah.
and literally all anyone talked about was how amazing perfection was and how they admired everything he did. I wondered if I'd come across some kind of weird community that idolized a celebrity. It made me laugh a little, so I kept poking around while keeping the chat open in a separate window. One link led to a bunch of sound clips that were around 30 seconds in length. After listening to a few, I realized they were all just random sounds. Car doors shutting, a toilet flushing, sound of a man clearing his throat, typing. One was of a
As I
terrible
was getting
quality.
close
I could
to
make
the
out like
food.
a baby fussing. Holy shit, these people were really dedicated. I imagine one of those members creeping up to the house of, well, whoever it was they were obsessed with, and recording any sound they could and bringing it back to the community like a treasure. I tried to figure out who Perfection was, but it was strange. His real name was never mentioned anywhere I looked. Another link took me to some kind of digital archive that contained file downloads. Barely, I clicked on one and it opened up a document that was almost 500 pages long and seemed to be some kind of novel about growing up with Perfection.
What boy?
I only scanned it, but the general gist seems to be that Perfection and the narrator were obsessed with each other.
I'm determined to do this. I feel like I can do this.
Fiction. I closed it and I downloaded another file. Now this one contained what looked like a hand-drawn blueprint of a house, with the rooms labeled things like our studio and second kitchen for quarantined food. The later struck me because, see, I'm a celiac, and I know all about quarantined food. Whoever it was had the same kind of allergy. Other documents contained inventories of strange items like Q-tips, clean and dirty, fruit rinds, cups, bits of fabric, used tissues. I was starting to get really skeeved out. Whoever these people were, they took their obsession a little too seriously for my taste. There was even a forum dedicated to Perfection, which had thousands of threads, and even more replies, all having to do with this person. It was overwhelming, in a way. As I opened another link which led me to a gallery of photos, I checked the chat and found to my surprise that it had stopped completely. No new messages had been posted in at least 5 minutes. And I felt a pang of paranoia.
Yeah, I get
Did I
it,
know I
sir.
was here? Would they be angry? I typed a quick hello. Just browsing, don't mind me, in the chat box. I went back to the gallery. A little ding signaled a reply, but I ignored it and waited for the first image to load.
Come on.
It was a very grainy shot of a woman with a baby. They were exiting a hospital. The woman in a wheelchair. She looked down into the baby's face
what?
as the nurse pushed her toward the curb. The woman was familiar, but I couldn't place her. And the photo was of such poor quality that it was impossible to make out any defining features. The next photo showed the same woman and child playing in the living room. The baby was on its back, reaching up towards a hanging toy. Every photo I opened was of the woman and baby, but I noticed that as the series went on, the baby began to age, and the woman was featured less and less. Some of the photos were incredibly strange. See, some were zoomed in on items the child was holding, almost to the point of being completely out of focus. Others were footprints with broken branches. One was of a used potty chair, almost like the one I had as a kid.
Really?
They had been taken
Fucking
outside on the
hell.
lawn. Whoever was taking these photos was holding a piece of stool in their hand. This is when I started to get really unnerved. See, clearly the community that ran this site was obsessed to the point of madness about this person, about Perfection. And suddenly, I didn't want to be a part of it anymore. I closed the window and the chat pinged again. This time I checked it.
Are you outstandingly stupid? Fuck.
The message was from a user named Steve. I frowned and typed
Like, I need
back.
help to do this. Like,
What?
in general. Like, I can't do this by
You must
myself.
be so proud.
Like, I'm not supposed to.
What do you think? I had no idea what to say. I hesitated. They typed another message. It's okay. Don't be shy. My house is your house. Look around. It's something. You guys are really obsessed with this guy. There was a brief pause. Who is he anyway? Another user replied to me this time. Someone named Bob. He is perfection. He is God. I live my life to serve him, so that one day he may grace me with his approval.
Fuck!
This world is far too filthy for him. I must continue to create our utopia. Well, these people are fucking crazy. Clearly, I'd stumbled on some kind of community of superfans, and I felt a little angry. How do you know he even wants you guys to do this? This is a pretty huge invasion of privacy. Someone else replied, Terry, we are in love. Those who keep us apart will be destroyed. I type faster. He doesn't even know who any of you are, you fucking idiots. Get a grip. The whole self-insert thing is cringy enough, but this is also fucking over the top. He replied again. What have I done to upset you? Nothing. I just think it's fucking weird that a bunch of random people have been apparently spying on someone and stealing their photos and stuff. There's only room for the two of us. The message caught me off guard, but before I could reply, every user I'd been talking to replied simultaneously. Are you proud of me? 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 I felt a weird wiggling in my gut. Something was wrong. Does this house suit your needs? Perfection? I started to type back, but it was like someone struck the back of my head with a hammer. My heart was hammering as I reopened the gallery of photos. The hospital photo was grainy, but suddenly the woman came into focus, and I made the choking sound of alarm. I scrolled to the bottom of the gallery and opened the newest photo, which had been posted only an hour before. It was of a closed door in a hallway, light seeping under the door and illuminating the walls, just enough to see my framed Batman poster and the distinctive paint smeared above the doorknob where I brushed a wet paint roller by mistake a few years before. I frantically pored over the item catalog and found the listing for the red sweatshirt that I'd lost as a toddler. I found the stuffed toy that I'd thrown out or donated over the years, the condoms I'd flushed down the toilet in 9th grade, 20 pounds of feces taken from a septic tank and contained in a large plastic drum. I found my 8th grade report card and a Valentine I'd thrown in the gutter that same year out of crippling anxiety. The chat pinged again. I love you more than you will ever know. You are my perfection. I sat numbly as messages began spamming the chat, all from different users. I love you. Perfection. You are God. My Lord God. I love you. I'll never leave you. Perfection. You are God. Perfection. I'll never leave you. Perfection. My Lord.
Oh no.
I love you. Perfection.
Ah.
And Savior. I'll never leave you. I love you. Perfection. You are my perfection. I love you more than you will ever know. Perfection. I ripped the power cord out of the wall, and I flew out of my chair. I closed every curtain in the house. I locked every door. I opened every cupboard and closet. I looked under every piece of furniture until I was sure I was alone.
That spawner really needs to be taken out.
And then I curled up under a blanket in the farthest, darkest corner of my closet, and I went to sleep out of some kind of shock response. When I woke up, I took my computer apart. I buried it in the woods behind my house. I told my parents that it had suffered a fatal short circuit and had caught fire. They bought me a new laptop. I could only bring myself to use it when the internet was disabled. Yeah, I never found out who Devotee was.
Elf is back.
I've developed agoraphobia. I rarely leave my apartment. It's been almost 5 years, but I still take my trash to the dump and have it incinerated. When I do go out in public, I wear large hats and sunglasses, and I do everything I can to blend in and stay under the radar. At some point, my computer was unearthed and taken from its grave. I have no idea when. And I hope I never find out. And I still panic whenever things around the house go missing.
Elf needs food badly.
Hey there kids, it's me, Mr. Creepypasta. Just wanted to say thanks so much for listening. You guys are what makes this channel worthwhile. There'll be new horror stories every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday night, as well as gaming live streams every Friday and Sunday night. Please help support on patreon.com/Mr. Creepypasta.
I can't do it.
As well as many other...
Shut it up. I can't do it. I can't even begin to try to do it. Because, like, I cannot do that. I can't. I'd rather just do I think I'm just going to run it endless. That's difficult. That is massively difficult. Like, I understand this game wasn't designed for you to play by yourself. Alright. I'm playing as my warrior, I guess. And it takes forever for you to unlock shit. I feel like there's this is how come microtransaction is a thing. Games that require you to grind until you're just nubless.
The first thing you have to understand is that my apartment is way too big, and I'm kind of a clutterbug, so I lose stuff constantly. I've got 3 bedrooms.
That was
and 2
annoying.
bathrooms.
Just a
It's
little
just
bit.
me living here.
I tried. I couldn't do it.
I don't know what I was thinking when I moved in. Half the rooms I don't even use. They're just full of random junk and collectibles.
Damn it.
Old furniture, clothes, knickknacks, and gewgaws. I like to rummage through antique stores and pawn shops and garage sales. My motto is you never know when you might need something. Like for instance, I live in a landlocked city, but I have an inflatable raft under my bed. King size. Because I like to stretch out, and it still barely fits. I've got a baby swing, a crib, and a bundle of infant clothes all stacked up in a corner beyond that lives in the coat closet.
This is what happens when you come to a live
actually
stream.
use.
Shit isn't
Thing,
always
I was planning on doing a
planned
rustic
the
decoration
fuck
game at
out.
some point. Hard to remember. The main
Okay, no,
point
so that-
is that
okay.
it's not unusual for me to misplace things. Or to find something in my stuff that comes as a total surprise to me. Because I've forgotten I even have it. I almost had a heart attack the other day when a taxidermied iguana fell on my head while I was digging out some galoshes for the storm. Damn lizard left a scratch on my cheek that makes it look like I'm weeping blood. Now, I like the crowded, slapdash arrangement I have,
Damn it.
the amusing surprises and helpful coincidences. Normally, I'm pretty blasé about losing anything. I've got 15 of everything I'd ever need. And the fun is in the finding and the getting, not the having. But the other day, I was having the worst sense of deja vu, I guess. Some kind of obsessive disorder, maybe. I had a vision in my head of a jar. A very particular jar. Nothing special, really. Light blue ceramic, a couple of handles on the sides, with a little lid on top that I knew would open with a pop because I had a cork stopper. Almost like an urn. I had no idea where I would have gotten it or why, and I really wasn't sure why I wanted to find it so badly. But I became convinced that it was somewhere in my apartment, and I just couldn't rest until I found it.
You couldn't rust?
I tore apart the kitchen, 2 of the bedrooms, and most of the living room, opening drawers, dumping out old spectacles, silver state crest spoons, costume jewelry, an old set of manacles. I pulled a muscle in my back, shifting the old wardrobe around, and finding a forgotten clothes press behind it. I found a stash of old mezzotins, frames, and a really nice top hat.
Really?
A big brass doorknob with matching key and a set of My Little Pony toys from the 80s.
Fuck.
I even found a folder of schoolwork. Looked like elementary school age stuff. Not mine, because the name was a girl's. No idea where that even would have come from. But I didn't find that
Am I
jar.
tripping? Did y'all legit have enemies right
Finally,
there for me to
I was
walk
sitting on
into?
the floor amid a haphazard sprawl of vinyl records and cassettes, stewing over my failure. I wanted the jar so badly I could taste it. Dusty and dry, like the ghost of mildew. And then I realized how absurd I looked, pouting in the middle of the mess I'd made of my toys like an overgrown toddler. And I started laughing. I thought about calling out for a pizza, but I'd made a complete tangle of my already jumbled living space, and I was feeling a little claustrophobic. I decided to go out. Later, full of kebabs and a couple of beers, I was walking down a side street, taking a shortcut back to the subway, when I spotted a junk shop I didn't recognize. This, you might imagine, is a pretty rare experience for someone of my inclinations. I love a good junk shop. All the potential mystery and unknown stories in the objects for sale. I wasn't ready to go back and start the long process of cleaning up all the stuff I dumped out, so I turned aside and went in. The inside of the shop was startlingly brightly lit. You think of those places as having a couple of 30 watts flickering in dusty shades at best, but this one was as well lit as a big box store. Harsh light threw tiny ink-black circles of shadow on the floor under every object. The man behind the counter caught my eye as I entered and smiled, big and wide. It was like he recognized me, but not as a friend. More like a dealer seeing his #1 pillhead skating up with a fat roll. "Welcome back," he said. "You look like a man with a burden upon his life. I think you will find what you're looking for here."
He sounds like he has a stuffy nose.
I'd never seen him before. And the kind of face your eyes slide off of. Could be anywhere between 25 and 50. A middling skin tone that could have come from any place on 3 continents. A precise but empty accent that revealed exactly nothing. The stuff in the shop was pretty standard. Old books here, old records there, old clothes in the middle, and some spindly chairs in the back. And after the uneasy feeling the shopkeep gave me, I was losing my beer buzz and starting to feel disappointed. That's when I saw it behind the counter. Pale blue like a robin's egg. 2 small handles. Round stoppered lid. The jar. The one in my head. Here, in this random rubbish-filled store that I never heard of. I came up to the counter, but my mouth was too dry. I licked my lips and pointed, wide-eyed, at the jar. "Ah, you hear him calling." The shopkeeper smiled. "But it is a lie, as he is a lie." "How much?" I managed. "For the jar." He laughed. "The innocent jar? It is worthless. But for what is inside, I think, for you, a bargain can be made." I blinked. It was hard not to look at the jar. "What do you mean? What's inside it?" He looked side to side as though checking for spies, then leaned in and gestured me closer. "Nothing," he whispered gleefully, and laughed again. More of a cackle. It was getting on my nerves. "How much?" I snapped.
With that
"Does
attitude, you
not
can't
matter
even buy it.
much," he said, shrugging with one shoulder. "You would pay anything now, but money is meaningless. Tokens and trash, nothing but potential until it is used. Let us say $50. I already had my wallet out, slapped a 50 onto the counter. He caught my hand like a gecko snapping a cricket and held it down. "I think this will be the last time I tell you this," he said. "But it must be done. It must be done correctly. The innocent, prognosir, meaning to harm, and in, meaning without. the sear from the older root neck. He stared at me, and his eyes were clear like glass. Neck is death. In neck, deathless, eternity. He glanced to the side, and I saw the jar and moved to the countertop when I wasn't looking. The vessel. The vessel is empty. Do you understand? It has always been empty, and it always will be. What it contains is emptiness. No matter what you put in it, there will never be anything there, and you will never receive anything back. Nothing comes out of the jar. He tightened his grip, and I tried to pull away. Because there is nothing inside the jar. He released my hand so abruptly that I stumbled backwards. I was reeling a bit, thinking that maybe the beers had hit me harder than I thought. The next coherent thought I had was walking down the street to the subway station, feeling the chill of the autumn night and the even colder lump of the innocent jar cradled in my left arm. My right hand still stung where the shopkeep's fingernails had dug in. All the way home, I stewed over what had happened. I was freaked out, nervous. Not myself at all. He'd called me a man with a burden on my life. What the hell did that even mean? I had nothing at all to worry about. I had no responsibilities, no obligations. I had plenty of money. Didn't I? I seemed to. I was pretty sure I had. Where had it come from? I pushed the thought away as easily as I pushed open the door to my apartment building and stared up the stairs. Burdens now. I used to have friends. College friends, work friends. Everyone has friends. I'm sure I had friends. But then, people drift. I remember everyone settling down, coupling up, getting children from somewhere. Children and mortgages, and career paths, and 2 weeks of vacation.
Oh, that's what
They
that
were
does?
lucky.
It's a grenade, basically?
No more time. That's why I was lucky. That's why I hadn't tied myself down. I was free. Free and easy. I'm sure I was. My stomach lurched. I felt like I'd swallowed a rock. Kebab meat must have been off. I went to sit down, but the couch was covered with half-tumbled boxes. I groaned and leaned over, placing the blue jar gently onto the cushions before I rested my hands on the couch's arm and back, and breathed through my nose, trying to soothe my innards. I smelled the dust,
Motherfucker.
and dry wood, and old paper. Normally, some of my favorite things. Now, they just made things worse. I sat down onto the floor with a grunt. The jar tipped to the side, and I gasped in horror, running to catch it before it fell, before she fell and hurt herself. Something was buzzing around my brain, and I tried to wave it away through the mental fog. The chill of the hardened clay in my hands reminded me that I hadn't opened the jar yet.
This one could be worth a lot.
He said it was empty. Hadn't he? The lid resisted at first, but after a gentle twist, it slid out like it had been greased. I couldn't see inside the jar. Then I turned to face the light from the window. Still nothing. Dark as the bottom of the sea. I pulled the lampshade off of... It must have been a lamp on the side table, and turned it on. The blackness inside didn't move or react, even as I moved the light source closer to it. And then it was gone. It went into the jar, but the jar was empty, and I couldn't remember what it was that I had been holding. It was not. It had never been. Because it was in the jar, and there is nothing in the jar. I only know it was a lamp because the shade is still here with me. I don't even know what it looked like, let alone where I'd gotten it or how long I'd had it, or what its story had been. I remember putting the jar down very, very carefully and putting the lid on top like I was deactivating a landmine. I knew I had most of a bottle of whiskey left because I'd seen it when I was searching the kitchen, when I, for some godforsaken reason, wanted to find this damned, damnable, terrible, terrifying jar. I proceeded to get extremely drunk while I tried to absorb the idea that I had some kind of portable black hole in a cheery baby blue jug. A memory hole. An oubliette. That's a type of dungeon. French word. Means forgotten. They threw you in, and the only door was the one at the top of the pit. And then you stayed there and never came out. Around about 2 a.m., the whiskey ran out. I sat in the dark without a lamp and cradled the jar on my lap like it was a child. My little girl. I looked around at the mess I still hadn't cleaned up, and suddenly I was angry. I had all the time in the world to myself, nothing to do, nowhere to go, and all I'd done was collect all this stuff. This junk.
Gosh dang it.
This garbage.
You're the wrong fucking way.
This fucking clutter. That's what he meant. That was my burden. I was wasting my time on all these things that I didn't even want. I started slow. Rolled up close, so those had gone in. I must have experimented with its capacity for size, because parts of the couch are missing. Things far too big to have ever fit through the tiny mouth of the jar, let alone inside it. But there's nothing in the jar, and there never will be, and nothing is infinite. Nothing is eternal. I remember laughing. I thought I was free before. After this, I'd be free as a bird, naked and flying forever.
God
Nothing would save me.
damn it! Whore monkey
Things got a little
bastard.
crazy.
Come on.
The 2 bedrooms I mentioned before,
Let's just destroy
I didn't bring up the third because it's completely empty. And I have no idea what used to be in it. Well, no, that's a lie. I know exactly what was in it. What was in it is nothing. Because whatever was there, I put in the jar.
Damn.
And there's nothing in the jar. It's early morning now, and I stopped because I found something in the empty room. I haven't put it in the jar.
This one could be worth
Not yet. It's a photograph. Not an old-timey one, like I have so many of. A pretty new one, in a frame and everything. The glass is cracked, so it must have been under something. It shows a man and a woman, a little girl who looks about 8, and another child, about 2 or 3. They're on a beach. There's a boat in the background. They're all laughing and smiling for the camera. I don't recognize any of the people in it. No, that's a lie too. The man has my face. He has my face and his arm around this woman with the bigger girl. And he's smiling too. I don't recognize him at all. Except for one thing. His eyes. His eyes look like my eyes now.
Right.
In the mirror in the hall of the bathroom. With the innocent jar sitting on the toilet bowl beside me. He looks tired. He looks frustrated and chained. He looks like he is lying. He looks like he's got a burden on his life. God, what did I do?
Lord have mercy.
He'd said, "Welcome back," the man at the store. He said he'd warned me before about the jar. What did I do? What did I put in the jar the other time I had it? Or was it times? Did they go one by one? Or all at once? Did they fight? Did they even know it was happening? That it had happened before? How much of their lives that I poured into that endless, infinite dark before I stopped being able to remember?
Damn, I was greedy.
Crib,
Greedy!
folder of school,
Greedy!
woman's scarf. I just left them where they lay. Oubliette has the same root as oblivion. Innocent can lead unknowing. God help me. I'm sitting here with half of my life missing, and I don't know how much more, and the jar is beside me.
Too easy.
It's cold. It's always cold on the outside of the jar. Will it be as cold inside? In the dark? I don't think so. I think it will be warm. Like a nice bath at the end of a hard day.
Fucker.
How much of me will go in before that stops mattering? To me?
This
To
is the
anyone.
end.
I don't know if this will survive. I don't know if you will believe it.
I got, what, one
It
continue
was
left
written
after
by no
this?
one, after
You
all.
didn't think I'd be gone for good, did you?
Because there's nothing inside the jar. Nothing at all. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you want to see more, let me know
What
in
the
the comments
fuck?
below. And tell
Bro,
me
what's
what
on
you
the
thought of
table?
generation. Make sure to follow me on Twitter for updates, and if you'd like to get early videos, shoutouts, and much, much
And then
more,
oh my
I'd appreciate
gosh,
it if
yeah.
you check out my Patreon page. It's a place where you can help support my channel while getting awesome rewards in the process, and every pledge helps out a ton, no matter the size. So if you'd like to see all the rewards I offer and consider becoming a patron, it'd mean a ton to me if you'd click the link in the description and just check it out. And don't forget to show some love to the amazingly talented authors who make these
Shut
narrations possible.
The
Have a good night,
entire
everybody.
fuck up.
Cheers.
Damn, y'all hit hard.
I wish I had some of that elf bread. Bullseye!
Mother puss bucket. Oh. Ugh.
Monday morning, when I checked my emails, I got a bit of a scare when I saw I'd received something from HR.
Boy, that's some
Mother.
Without going into much
Fucker.
detail,
The
I
reach.
work at a big organization, and we've got multiple buildings, so it's not like everyone knows everyone. If you get an email from HR, it's usually one of two things. You're getting canned, or someone filed a complaint against you. I'm nervous.
Will those work
opening
every
emails
time? Will
to
my bombs work on
see
those
what
every
it
time?
was.
Without question?
From Human Resources.
I'm gonna make it to floor 7. But I ain't getting past floor 8.
Important meeting.
Once those
Hello,
spawners
Mr.
start
Taylor.
becoming a
I would
factor,
like to meet with you.
I don't have
today,
enough people with me
April
to help me
24th,
take those out.
2017 at
And if you
9:30
say that
a.m.
it's easy to do it by yourself,
Please
you can go fuck
confirm
yourself.
You've received this message. Regards.
I said
Jeff
I
Williams.
don't have
Human
enough people with
Resources.
me for me to take them out.
The email didn't give me much to go on, except that I wasn't going to have to wait very long to know what was going on. And also didn't give me much hope. We're in the middle of a reorganization here at work, so
I'm gonna make it floor 7, but I ain't getting
is
8.
bad news. There was no
Better
real
take cover, I'm
fate.
going
So I
in.
emailed
Uh-oh, here we
back
go
and
again.
accepted the meeting, and spent what was left of my morning pacing back and forth.
Oh my
worrying about my job.
gosh.
Jeff from HR welcomed me into a suspiciously dimly lit room and sat me down on a long boardroom table. He stood across from me,
Well,
looking through a small stack of papers. My throat tightened.
there's a slight chance I'll make it to floor 8.
Were all those reports
I had
against
enough money
me?
to get the
Were they my dismissal papers?
get an extra continue.
Jeff started.
That'll help.
Before we begin, Mr. Taylor, I'd like to assure you that this process is 100% confidential. Okay?
The process.
Replied
Look at
hesitantly.
him. Lottie goddamn
There
duh.
was trouble. I could just feel it. I was getting canned for sure. Jeff didn't look at me, instead keeping his focus on the papers in front of him. I'd like to ask you a few questions, and I want you to answer as honestly as possible. Can you do that? Yes. He nodded. Excellent. Let's start with something easy. How long have you been working for this organization, Mr. Taylor? I swallowed hard. It hadn't been long enough to be sent into early retirement. That was for sure. Maybe it wasn't, but it felt like a loaded question. About 12 years, I said. And your office was recently moved into a new location, is that right? He asked. They'd started the reorganization process a few years prior, and my whole team and I had been shifted off to another floor about a year ago. That's right, I answered. He continued asking me to elaborate.
Keep that up.
And since the move, has anything unusual occurred? I let out a nervous laugh. Coffee machine only works half the time. Jeff looked at me for the first time since I walked in. Have you been feeling stressed lately? What a weird question to ask. Of course I was feeling stressed. Everyone's been feeling stressed since all our jobs are on the line. Well, yeah, I answered. Do you think that stress is contributing to the problem, Mr. Taylor?
Well, I'll be damned.
Now, I was a little confused. I guess. He scribbled something down on this paper. I felt like I was at a cross between a police interrogation and a psychologist appointment. Jeff set his pen down and once again looked me in the eyes. Have you been hearing unusual noises in your office, Mr. Taylor? Honest to goodness, I had no idea what he was trying to get at. Was this about Jamie? I mean, yeah, she chewed with her mouth open and put the radio on a bit too loud, annoying everyone in the office, but that didn't warrant an HR investigation, did it?
Oh, so that's
Then
not
again,
sir.
if they were looking to cut someone from my team, they'd be looking for any little excuse to do so. I figured by going along with it, I could safeguard my job. Sorry, Jamie. Yeah, all the time. driving me nuts, I answered. He narrowed his eyes and nodded to himself as he began taking notes again. He continued this for at least a minute before addressing me again. What about the walls? He asked. I don't really see them from my cubicle. What about them? I replied. When you hear the
Motherfucker.
humming, do they still change?
Mere treasure.
I looked at him, perplexed. Wait, what? What humming? Jeff turned the page and read what was written on it. I could see his eyes scan over the text multiple times. He contemplated the words for a few moments, and then looked at me sharply and said, You reported that, and I quote, It always starts with humming. It only happens late in the evening, when I'm the only one left in the office. It starts with a low humming, then the walls bleed. Then he shows up. Closer every time, breathing heavily. That's when I run. I stared at Jeff dumbfounded. I never said that. He shuffled in his seat so he could lean over the table, giving off an almost menacing air. He spoke calmly, but with the sternness of a parent scolding their child. Look, Joshua. May I call you Joshua? It's a serious offense to lie on an official report. You can call me that, but that's not my name. As far as a report, I have no idea what you're talking about, to be honest. Now it was Jeff's turn to look confused. He scanned his papers and, in a quizzical tone, asked, Joshua Taylor? No, I answered. I'm Jonathan Taylor. I could see a bead of sweat rolling down the side of his face as he tried to piece together what had happened. He scratched his beard and reread the papers in front of him.
Oh my gosh. Well, I got
You know,
gang fucked, boy.
Funny thing, I get his emails all the time, I explained. It was true. Our email addresses were assigned automatically. They started with the first letter of our first names, and then our last names. If someone had the same first initial and last name, then the system added a number to the end. So, for example, my name is jtaylor5 at myorganization.com. If you sent an email without paying attention to the full name in the preview screen, it was surprisingly easy to send an email to the wrong person. I have no doubt that Joshua Taylor received more than a few emails intended
God damn
for
it.
me, and vice versa. Jeff sat up straight and regained his stoic composure.
Your life force
It would appear my assistant may have accidentally sent you this invitation instead of its intended recipient. You're good to go, he said as he waved to the door. There was a brief pause before he added, Let me remind you that this is a confidential process, and anything that was discussed in this meeting cannot be shared with your colleagues. He quickly stacked his papers, got up, and left in a hurry.
Over here.
I was escorted out of the
You'll be
HR
alright.
offices by one of his assistants, and walked across the street to my building.
See?
Back to business as usual. It nagged at me. All day, it nagged at me.
needs food.
I couldn't help it. Joshua Taylor had submitted such a weird report.
This one could
I
be
knew I
worth
had to
a
keep the
lot.
meeting with HR confidential, but I just had to ask anyways. In the late afternoon, I broke and sent Joshua an email. From Jonathan Taylor to Joshua Taylor. Meeting mishap with HR. Hey Joshua, funny story. So I got an email from HR intended for you. Looks like they got our names mixed up. Anyways, I hear something's up in your office, and I'm kind of dying of curiosity. Want to chat? It's cool if you don't want to. Cheers. Jonathan. I got an undeliverable almost as soon as I sent my message. Yeah, at that point, I should have let it go. Hell, I should have let it go before I sent the email, but come on. Wouldn't you have done the same in my shoes? I looked Joshua up on our employee directory and found his phone number. I called once. No answer. Waited about half an hour and called
So
again.
he just
No
comes to a
answer.
complete stop.
Work started piling up, so I
He
got
comes to a
distracted
complete
and
stop
pushed
when he
the
tries to
issue
throw a
aside.
grenade. Why the hell
It
is
was
that a good
about
idea?
6:30 p.m. when I got everything done. And I remember Joshua sometimes worked late.
Stop, stop, stop.
I picked up the phone just to see and gave him a third and final call. Someone picked up the receiver. Hey, this is Jonathan Taylor. Funny story. I began. But shut up when I... And it was a strange, low hum.
Well done.
I feel like I shouldn't have died.
If you made it this far, I hope you'll follow me on Twitter at KingSpookCreepy.
But the reason I never leave my house on New Year's Eve. Nope.
Nope.
Growing up, New Year's was never a big holiday for me. My family never really hosted a party or anything, so my New Year's Eve tended to be just me watching TV until the clock struck midnight, and then was off to bed. This continued into high school. By that, to a New Year's Eve party. The invite came from Jake, one of my teammates on the track team. We talked a lot during practices and stuff, but we had never really hung out outside of school, which is why I was surprised when he texted me with the invite. I tried playing it cool, even though I was really excited to finally be doing something on New Year's. He told me it was just going to be a house party with a lot of kids from school and a few out-of-towners. I replied saying it sounded good, and I'd see him in a few days. New Year's Eve came, and Jake picked me up around 9 p.m. There were a few other guys in the car that I had recognized, but had never actually talked to. We just made small talk on the way to the party, and one of the guys asked me if I was going to try and find a girl at this party to kiss at midnight, and I jokingly said we'll see what happens. We eventually arrived at our destination. The first thing I noticed was that the party was quite large, with a ton of cars parked in the driveway and along the street. I had always been an introvert, so being around a ton of people like this was not really my thing, but I just kept reminding myself that this was way better than sitting home and doing nothing. At first, I was pretty uncomfortable being around a huge crowd, but I eventually calmed my nerves and started having some fun. I was dancing along to music with everyone else when I noticed this girl looking at me. Jake eventually noticed it too. "Hey man, that girl keeps looking at you. You should go talk to her." "I don't know, man. She might just be looking at someone else." "Dude, she was definitely looking at you. Just go talk to her. What do you have to lose?" "Fine, I will." I started heading over to her, but realized she wasn't there anymore. I turned toward Jake. "Hey man, that girl is gone. Did you see where she went?" "No man, sorry. I'm sure she'll be back. She probably just went to the bathroom or something." I decided to grab a drink while I waited for her to come back. 20 minutes passed by with no sign of her. Slightly disappointed, I headed to another room to get away from all the noise. I checked my phone, and it was almost 11. Looks like I won't be getting that New Year's kiss, I laughed to myself. I wanted to head back to the party when I noticed someone else had entered the room. I looked up from my phone and was surprised to see it was the same girl who was looking at me earlier. "What are you doing in here all by yourself?" she asked.
Beating my dick.
I just needed to get away from the craziness for a bit. "Yeah, I totally understand. Big parties aren't really my thing." "So did you come here by yourself?" "No, I came here with a friend from school." "Oh, cool. I came here with my friend and her boyfriend, but they..."
Hello, viewer.
"My name's Amanda, by the way." For the next 15 minutes, her and I talked. She told me that she was from out of town, about an hour away, which is why I had never seen her around. Eventually, I asked her if she wanted to dance, and she said yes. When we started dancing, I checked the time. It read 11:20. Things continued as normal for about 10 minutes till midnight. That's when I noticed Amanda started acting really nervous. "Are you okay?" I asked. "Yeah, I'm fine," she said.
Oh no.
But clearly she wasn't.
This might be my
For
demise.
roughly the next 6 minutes, she kept checking her phone for the time and had a nervous look on her face. "Amanda, if you're worried about the time, I'm sure everyone here will do a countdown to midnight." "I know, but it has to be exact." "What do you
It's
mean?"
fucking bullshit
Never mind.
arc.
"Forget I said anything."
Arc on them motherfucking grenades
I checked my
is
phone. 2
annoying.
minutes to midnight.
I'm sure like other characters have like a longer,
Amanda couldn't even
a
focus.
farther arc, but
She was
damn.
looking everywhere but at me. The countdown started. People were shouting all around me, but all I could focus on was Amanda. She looked absolutely terrified. "Hey, are you sure you're alright? If you don't want to be here anymore, I won't be offended." I could hear the countdown reach 10. Amanda was now staring intently at the clock on her phone. At this point, the place was going crazy. The next thing that happened was kind of a blur. As soon as the alarm on my phone went off, signaling midnight, Amanda went up to me and kissed me. It happened in an instant, and then she started to leave. I moved towards her to say goodbye when I noticed she was crying. "Amanda, are you alright?" "I'm sorry," she said with tears in her eyes. "I didn't want to die." With that, she ran through the crowd of people, and I lost sight of her. At the time, I couldn't even comprehend what had just happened. I tried looking for her outside, but she was gone. I eventually met up with Jake and got ready to go home. He asked me how my night was, and I told him that it was fun, but didn't mention Amanda. The whole situation was sort of freaking me out. The terrified look on her face and what she said. What the hell was she talking about? Did she think I was going to hurt her or something? And if she did, why would she kiss me? A few weeks went by, and I just tried to forget about the whole situation. I realized I forgot to ask for her number at the party, so I couldn't even get an explanation from her. I just wanted to know if she was okay. I tried asking around to see if anybody knew her, but nobody did. Months went by, and I was eventually able to move on. I started college in the fall, and lived a pretty normal life. Then, 1 month until New Year's Eve, I got a text from an unknown number. It was Amanda. She wanted to meet up with me and talk. I was very surprised, but agreed. We met up on my campus, There was a range of emotions when I first saw her. I was excited to see her again, but also angry when I thought about the way she left me to worry about her with no explanation. "Hey," she said. "Listen, I'm so sorry about leaving you at the party the way I did. I just felt so guilty for what I did to you." "What do you mean? And why did it take you so long to reach out to me? I was really worried about you for a long time afterwards." "I'm sorry, but I couldn't think of a way to explain it that you would actually believe." "Amanda, just tell me." She stammered. "You've had a curse placed on you." I immediately started laughing. "I'm sorry, but that's your explanation? You're right, I don't believe you." "I figured you wouldn't. I didn't either when I was first told," she replied.
Oh, you touched
"This
me.
curse, it only takes
I was
effect
doing
on New
all
Year's
right.
Eve at midnight exactly. The person who carries the curse must kiss someone at exactly midnight on New Year's Eve, or they'll die." At this point, I was more amused than anything. "Go on," I laughed. "Whoever kisses the cursed person at midnight has the curse passed on to them. The only way to get rid of it is to kiss someone else at exactly midnight on New Year's Eve." "Alright, Amanda, and tell me this. What if I decide not to go out? You're telling me something is going to break into my house and kill me?" "No, as long as you're inside your house at midnight, you're safe. I don't know why, but this thing, this monster or demon or whatever it is, it cannot enter your house. It can only hurt you if you're away from your house on New Year's Eve and don't kiss someone at midnight."
Boy, that'd have pissed me off if he killed me.
"A demon that shows up to kill you if you haven't kissed someone at midnight." At this point, I was beginning to think Amanda was legitimately insane. "I know you think I'm crazy, but trust me. If you leave your house on New Year's Eve, you must kiss someone at midnight. Please, I don't want anything bad to happen to you." I wanted to take this thing as a huge practical joke, but the look on Amanda's face was the same one she had at the night of the party. She looked terrified, and that in turn scared the hell out of me. Eventually, New Year's Eve night arrived, and Amanda's story was in the back of my mind. I wasn't going to leave my house anyways, because I didn't have any plans, but I was still a little freaked out. Nothing unusual was happening. I was watching New Year's Eve parties on TV when I decided to go to the kitchen to grab a snack. That's when I noticed someone standing in my front yard, staring at me.
Fucking twat monsters.
From far away, it looked like a girl. I figured I was just imagining things and went back upstairs. I came back downstairs an hour later, and she was still standing there in the exact same spot. At this point, I was completely freaked out. I was going to call the police.
Floor
when I
13,
realized
my
what was
unlucky.
actually happening.
Everybody's unlucky number.
Good one, Amanda, I thought.
Oh my
Standing in my front
goodness.
yard on New Year's Eve just to scare me. I headed to my front door, opened it, and began walking toward her. "Okay, you got me. I was freaked out. Now come inside. It's cold as hell out here." I was about 10 feet from her when I stopped dead in my tracks. From afar, it looked like a girl, but when I got close, I could immediately tell this thing wasn't human. Where hands should have been, there were claws, and there was just darkness where a face should be. Out of fear, I dropped my phone, and when I picked it back up, it read 11:59. Only 15 seconds to midnight. I immediately took off, sprinting toward my house. When I was almost to the door, I felt something grab me. Its claws around my leg felt like my soul was being ripped apart. I struggled to get back inside. I could feel myself slipping away. I don't know if it was more of the adrenaline or more of the fear, but I was able to get one last burst of energy and push my body past the door. I felt the thing let go of my leg. Immediately, I slammed the door shut and began to scream out of complete shock and fear.
I'm done.
The next
Done.
day, I
Couldn't fucking kill it in time. Goddamn.
I can honestly say I don't blame her for putting this curse on me. You can't blame someone for not wanting to die. But I can't bring myself to put the curse on someone else. At least not yet. So I wait in my house on New Year's Eve. It's what I've done for the past 4 years. The demon waits in my yard every New Year's, just staring, waiting for me to come outside. I know I'll eventually have to go out there on New Year's and find someone to kiss. I now understand the pain Amanda felt having to put this burden on someone else. So if you see me at a New Year's Eve party and want to avoid me, I'll understand. But I also apologize to whomever I end up kissing. I'm sorry. I just don't want to die. Hello, dear listener, and thank you for joining me in this week's video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to destroy that like button down below and subscribe for future videos. If you haven't...
Shut all the way the fuck up. That's it. Oh, golly. I don't even know what that was. I don't know for sure if that's in the bottom of that screen or not. But I kind of hope that it did. Nobody paid attention to that. Alright, I'm out of here.